The University of Akron has not looked the same since March of 2020. Many things that were present in the thoughts of students then are now in the back of their minds. One of these things is the presence of crime in and around the campus. With many people commuting from home, people have been lulled into a sense of safety. For one University of Akron commuter student, that sense of safety was challenged as a crime near her home took place. On President's Day, only minutes away from the Wayne campus of the University of Akron in Smithville, Ohio, an FBI standoff took place. After committing a crime, a 69-year-old man was holed up in his house. The police suspected that he had a gun and surrounded the house. The ensuing standoff would last 15 hours, involving snipers being posted across the street, FBI agents, and tear gas. University of Akron student Anna Mutton, living only doors away from the standoff, comments on what happened.
I was at my house in class, one of my classes on Monday afternoon, and all of a sudden my mom came in and she was like, I think there's something going on down the street. And I was like, what? And she was like, all of these people kept texting her saying, what's happening on Smithville Western, the road that I live on? And so she finally looked it up. And apparently down the road, there was some kind of FBI standoff going on at a house like 3 houses down from mine. Then we listened to like police radios and stuff. And then we found out that our road was blocked off and there were a bunch of FBI trucks at this house right before the snowstorm was about to hit.
She continued to tell the tale of the FBI agents against the man in the house. She even described the sound of tear gas she could hear distinctly from her house.
Eventually, to get him to try and come out, they started using tear gas, and so our neighbors that could see what was happening told us that. And then from my house, you could hear these really loud popping noises that sounded almost like gunshots, but not quite like gunshots. And so they were just like shooting tear gas into his house, and that started sometime in the evening, probably like 9 or 10 o'clock. And then that just kept happening for like hours. And around, I think 2 a.m., you could still hear the tear gas, like the popping of the tear gas. Growing up in a small town like this where everybody knows everybody, it was just really surprising to all of a sudden hear that there was something going on that like the FBI was needed for.
After speaking about the crime that happened so close to home, I asked her if she took any protocols to stay safe when she lived off campus at the University of Akron.
When I lived right off of campus for a couple years to stay safe, I was super conscious of always locking my doors, keeping my blinds closed, always locking my car door, never leaving anything in my car when I wasn't in it. I never really I always made sure not to walk alone. I was never really out at night.
As the end of this pandemic is in sight, things are looking to return to normal. As this is happening, we need to remember these safety tips that we may have forgotten being away from college for so long. Luckily, the University of Akron police have even more tips for us. Some of their general safety tips are useful things to remember. They remind us that alcohol and other drugs can harm our perceptions and decision making. This can put us in a vulnerable position if we are not careful. They also remind us that there is safety in numbers. They recommend to travel in groups late at night and to let someone know if you will be traveling alone. A few other tips are to park in well-lit areas, cross the street or enter a store or business if you feel threatened, have your keys in hand as you approach your car and check under the car and the back seat before you enter, stash valuables in the trunk. They also tell us to not leave a drink unattended. If you are away from your drink any amount of time, toss it. It's not worth the risk. They also urge us to remember that if someone feels threatened at night, they can call the escort service at 330-972-7263. Police will escort us at any time. We also have over 350 emergency phones available to us throughout campus. If we notice anything suspicious or feel threatened, we can use these phones to get immediate assistance. Also remember the number 330-972-2911, which is the University of Akron's emergency line. Calling this number will get you right to the UA Police. The UA Police also give some tips specifically for those living off campus. These tips include not answering your door in the middle of the night, not posting on social media that you are away from your house or on vacation, leaving a light on if you leave your house, and locking your doors and windows. As we go about our daily lives, disaster could strike at any time. It is imperative that we stay alert and stay vigilant. If we can make sure to remember these tips to stay safe, we will be able to live daily without being anxious of sudden danger. This is Ryan Block reporting for Lights, Camera, Akron.